God had matter, and for a long while he was entertained by it merely being, and he studied it as it moved around his territory. He was annoyed when he realized that matter had its own rules for how it existed and interacted with itself, but he soon had to succumb to the fact that gravity was a good thing, and he reluctantly made the decision to not destroy it. God had a lot of matter, and he thought he should name it, as he had named the female. He looked at his matter for a long while before realizing that the other gods might have used all the good names, and he couldn't stand for being less creative than them. And finally he succumbed to the narcissism he will never know he suffers from, and named it Mine. Now, mine was very large indeed, and matter was not hard to come by. God had to think of something to do with it. Well, he thought, first I'll have to choose a spot in mine to do something with. He closed his metaphysical eyes and pointed a metaphysical finger in a random direction. Then he traveled at a random speed for a somewhat random amount of time. After having repeated the process a few times and ending up in large patches of nothing within mine, God decided that his chosen spot would be the nearest bright, flamey hot matter to where he ended up next. He spent a long while messing up matter around mine before arriving at the bright, flamey hot matter around which the matter futurely known as Earth revolves. And Earth, as God will name it, is going to be his favorite occupation for a relatively short time, at least in comparison to the length of God's own existence thus far. God thought that all the orbs of bright, flamey hot matter should, as a collective, have a shorter name, and he settled on, for it was the best he could think of, stars. Now God looked to the orbs of matter revolving around the star his future creations will name Sun. There weren't many, really, and it was a messy little star system. God decided to name 9 of the orbs, the ones that revolved around the star rather than each other, planets. The entertainment provided by the planets of no particular solidity was limited, as God soon discovered. So he chose a more solid planet to play with, which fairly quickly resulted in the surface of Mars being the way it is today, very hot, very cold, very red, and very dry. God finally decided to learn from his mistakes and be more careful with the next one. And God looked to the planet, which would very soon acquire the name Earth, and frowned in his own immensely metaphysical way. An entirely metaphorical light bulb lit up just above where his head would be if this were a cartoon, and God had his third very brilliant idea. Life.